Hey Lee, how's it going?
Good. Hey, I heard
Morning.
Aaron, I heard Give is another call. So it sounds like Aaron, you're gonna drive this.
Yeah. Should we wait maybe another minute or two for people
Oh
to
yeah,
join?
no worries.
Cool. Sounds good.
Good to see some new faces, I think. Hello?
Can you guys see my screen okay? I'm
It's
on a new
You
setup.
can see it, it's just small. The text is small, so you might want to zoom. That's better, yeah.
Cool. How's everyone week's going today? Or this week rather?
Good. I just thought of something because of what Sev is in Germany. I'm actually going to Paris next week for the Ethereum CC conference. So it's actually going to be really crazy. There's 1,000 people and like 50 events for 7 straight days. And we're actually hosting an event on Monday next week in Paris. I think 200 people signed up. We didn't even advertise it. It was just listed and like, yeah.
Wow, that's sick.
Yeah, we booked a coffee shop for 25 people. I'm pretty sure the owner's going to kick us out very quickly.
Yeah,
That was
definitely.
the only venue near the conference that we could find.
That's cool. Are you guys gonna record it or is this just like a in-person talk exclusively?
It's just a meetup, so unfortunately, no recording. Sorry, I think my neighbor's banging, so
Well, I'll give it one more minute and we'll get started on this. All right. Cool. So today's meeting agenda, we're going to be going over last week updates, discuss questions, follow-up to after updates. We're going to check out the GitHub issues for dev captains and the Kanban board and talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to have some open discussion around dev initiatives, what some of us are doing, or we can also have a discussion around tutorials to build. We had quite a few tutorials go out this week on the Harmony YouTube page, which I have linked in the weekly update. So it seems like things are going along. I'm not sure how many of us have really put tutorials together, but I think we're kind of working towards that. So to start off, what we talked about last week is bounties, for the most part, can be discouraging when we see bounties get accepted, but then they aren't great. I think we're having a bit more reform on that. Some of the latest bounties that have gone in seem really solid, and we linked to that up here with Harmony Scaffold, for example. So I think we're getting better there, but it's just going to be a process. Encouraging establishing relationships with bounty creators. I think this is also happening better too. I don't think we've gotten to the boilerplate text quite yet, or figured out like Telegram and Twitter DMs on how to facilitate that. So that could still be expanded on. Timelines are soft to start until we gather all devs. That's pretty self-explanatory. Express the timeline clearly, sure. And then proactively ask the devs who claim to start the bounty. So that's just follow-ups and stuff too. So that all kind of just ties together. But the exciting things that happened this week, the YouTube AMA with Steven. I started watching that on LinkedIn. I think I got through like half of it. It was pretty solid and pretty cool. I think it's a good like morale booster if you want to check that out. I haven't got to see the Harmony One AMA on cryptocurrency though. I heard it was really great. Maybe Lee or someone who was in that can talk more about it after we get through this. The bounty updates for Harmony Scaffold. I think this is a pretty solid bounty. I think for the most part, it's trying to describe on how to get DApps going for the hackathon and stuff coming up. So that's really nice. And then dev captain issue board and repo for task tracking. Given I kind of set this up last week, got it rolling. I put a few things in there so far, but it'd be nice to see some other dev captains start putting their tasks and issues in there. I know it's brand new. This is the first announcement of it, so hopefully by next week we'll see more activity there. And yeah, today we're introducing Dev Captain Severin. I don't think he's with us today, but he's a software engineer from Germany, really smart dude, really great to talk with. He has graphic design interests and is looking to do some simple D apps in the future. And as far as all the tutorials released this week, I didn't get to see too many of these. I kind of know how to do most of them already. So for people who don't know how to work with DEXs and liquidity farming, I think this is a good place for you to check out how to get started in the ecosystem. And then also today, we'll probably cover more tutorial topics to be produced or expanded on. So yeah, that's looking good. I think for this here, we can go back to the Kanban board and discuss this a little bit. Given I had some DM discussions around how this is going to work. So we have two main things. We have tasks and issues. When issues get linked into this, it should typically be meaningful towards a code solution, whereas like Harmony Scaffold, for example, that's more of a coding solution. That would be a good one to track in here, whoever is a dev captain trying to lead that. Whereas like update docs, copy bounty with a full copy of the remaining docs, for me, that's more just like, hey, make sure you do this. So like tasks should be more of reminders or things to do that are kind of soft and not necessarily have like a hard solution behind it. And it's just a task. That makes sense. I also added a request column here. So like I want 1 second time for Harmony, right? Like that's a great request, but we don't know what to do with it yet. So that's just going to hang out there, right? And then once someone can pick it up, we'll go ahead and move it into to do. It's been vetted. And then once it gets in progress and done, or gets blocked. So that's that. Do we have any questions as far as this Kanban board is concerned, like what we're trying to attempt here?
Question: if you are doing let's say issue in some other repository, you can still add it here, right? How are the things linked?
So if you were to create an issue here, you could probably just link like only one.
I mean, if there is an issue in some other repo, can you like directly add it to the task code, or do you have to create an issue here in the same repo?
I think you have to create an issue here in order to get the tracking to happen. So you gotta just link it. I don't think it's possible to link outside repositories. I might be wrong. This is my first time really using the Kanban board in GitHub, so that'd be something to explore.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, as far as like task tracking is concerned, I think we all understand that. Does anyone have any comments, questions, or concerns as far as the rest of this update that they'd like to contribute or talk about? Maybe I'll put you on the spot here for the cryptocurrency Harmony 1 AMA. Would you mind maybe giving us a brief detail of that?
Yes. Okay. So thank you. And yeah, really good to see all the update, the progress, and you guys working really well together. So our cryptocurrency is the largest crypto subreddit on Reddit, and it's basically a 3.2 million community on Reddit, and we were able to, actually we were going to do it earlier this year. There was a lot of logistics back and forth, and now we finally got the chance to do it. So our whole team showed up. Normally we do AMA with like one person or 2 people, but like this time we had 6 people show up and answered all the questions. It was pinned on the top of the thread. So all these things is really good because we need to, actually one of the things we need to work on is reaching out to non-Harmony community. I mean, we talked a lot to our community, right? And it's important, and it's good to have, you know, our AMAs within our subreddit, but that's only 25,000 or 200,000 people on Twitter. We definitely want to keep pushing ourselves to be as mainstream as possible, and the opportunity is really there, right? Like every day we're seeing new people come into blockchain, and we want to be like actually the bridge for new people to come in. And wouldn't it be great, right, to have them experience, like just as a developer, we have friends who have try to build on Ethereum, and you know, cost them thousands of dollars to kind of deploy something that's complex, and he came over here and deployed something for $7, right? All the, you know, all the transactions, all the contracts. So yeah, that's the platform that we're providing, and it's a good opportunity to do things like our cryptocurrency and other just more public engagement like ECC. The hackathon, I think we talked about a few times here, the $1 million hackathon with prizes. We'll be reaching out to not even non-blockchain, like Web2 developers from Wall Street, from other communities come and build with us. So that's going to be the big push for kind of rest of the year. So yeah, our cryptocurrency was great AMA. You guys should check it out. But that's just the beginning. Hopefully one day we're just on like our finance or something, our business. I don't even know. I assume those things exist, but like we want to be even like broader, or you know, our I don't even know what could be a good one, right? Like social impact, really. Like it could be much broader than just Harmony or just blockchain.
Yeah, I think what you touched on with the bridging of cryptos and tokens to the Harmony network was super powerful. And that was something that the YouTube AMA with Steven really talked about, and I thought it shined a great light on. I'm not sure how many other crypto blockchains out there are really doing that effectively, but I know the Viper Dex has been super great at doing that in this Viper month that they've had. It's been really cool to see that whole expansion of the ecosystem go in there. Because I mean, when I first got into Viper, it was like, this is kind of sketchy. We'll see how it goes, you know? And as the community developed and as developers for Viper have created more products for that, it's just continuing to expand. And you can see that in the TVL, I want to say, like it just keeps going up and up for the most part. And that's a fantastic thing. But that actually brings me to another point. It, unfortunately, at least for myself, I could describe to you how all the technology is working and like the concepts and theories behind it, but we're kind of missing a lot of details on like how to track your finances properly. You know, I was talking with a forum member this past couple of weeks about how to use Viper, like what to look out for. And it makes me wonder, like, could we use our dev captain position to also be part of the financial knowledge as well when we're discussing like bridges and like why like BSC bridge with one is a good thing to be a part of in that liquidity pool. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions towards that or could shine more light into some of this, but I think it'd be a cool discussion point to continue on from here. I guess maybe a good question to pose to the group is how many people understand the financial aspect, you know, like what makes Viper useful or like beneficial to farm? Would anyone have any insight towards that? It's okay if you don't. We could just take some shots in the dark or even take notes on what we should maybe discover for the next meeting.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I could take the opportunity to also introduce myself. So I'm working on a project, FedEx Dex. We're going to be launching on Harmony for a lot of the reasons that it stands for, and the fact that we kind of have the same sort of philosophy when it comes to bridging the gap between like deep DeFi crypto users and the rest of the world and the possibilities of that. I got into Harmony through Viper, very early user. And like you just said, it was very uncomfortable in the beginning. You weren't really 100% sure, but it's amazing how successful that they've been. And I've been directly involved in up until recently, but have been working on this project for almost a year now. And so that's also what we're trying to do with this project is help people understand the advantages of participating in something like a DEX and a yield farm that Viper is, as well as creating more ways for non-experienced users to gain access to the benefits. I mean, the benefits are simply that it has very good return on your investment, and it has a stable price structure for the most part, at least over the next couple of years, with locked rewards, and it's easy to use. So those are all things that we're going to be rolling out, and a lot more to it. There's a much longer term plan that I'm using the DEX to kind of launch pad myself and the project with. But it's amazing how Harmony has done what it has, and it really deserves to kind of be rolled out. So we're going to be hopefully working to make that happen. But that we're going to take what Viper's been doing and kind of try and bring it to the next level, addressing what Stephen was saying about the need for social media, other countries, languages, just broadcasting this. Harmony has the potential to actually change the world and change people's behavior when it comes to their own financial responsibility and access. And so yeah, that didn't exactly describe specifically what Viper does, but Viper's really proven that it's possible. And now it's about kind of taking it to that next level where you kind of add a more fiduciary professionalism component to it and a much longer term goals. So I'm Austin. You might see me, and Shantae is my developer. She's on the call as well. So I just wanted to also use that as an opportunity to say hi.
Hi, I'm here.
Nice to have you, and very cool stuff that you're up to. I guess that brings a good question. Like, what kind of hurdles have you guys experienced getting into this, if you don't mind talking about?
So if you're talking about, so from getting into what, the doing this project?
Yeah, we could either talk about like your intro into Harmony and like your struggles of getting into like Viper. I know there's like a 20.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So that kind of answers a lot of issues as well. So it's like, Viper's amazing, and it has a very good, strong community, and it's structured really well. The issues that I've had are that most people, even as much as crypto has grown, it's really in its infancy, maybe not even born yet, because of the fact that when you even talk to people who are using it, like the Bitcoin crack coiners, so to speak, no one really gets it. Like, and even the majority of people in the community don't really understand that the point of DeFi crypto and it's changing a paradigm, and then when you add in like an ESG social capital component, there's really no argument against trying to empower people economically and to reduce the friction that borders create. But at this point, there's still very high barriers to entry, and it comes across the board from just trying to explain what a DEX is or a yield farm is, and immediately, like, my first reaction when seeing Viper, which was one of my first experiences with yield farming, I've been in crypto for a while, was like, it's a Ponzi scheme. But then if you really think about the philosophy behind what the fiat system is in central banks, that is too. So it's all about confidence and that perspective. So the difficulty has kind of been simplifying it, and then to be able to explain it to non-users, and then also the people who are hardcore users. I think that they are ready for what Harmony has to offer as a blockchain, and then also something like what we're working on at FedEx is trying to do, which is, our goal is to not necessarily, it's the same. It's really that this could really be changing everything. And there needs to be like a total paradigm shift in the way that people view their money. And that's from a debtor perspective to a creditor liquidity perspective. There's no argument against focusing on the unbanked or populaces in countries that don't have the same sort of access. There's so many faults in the system, not just talking about monetary, but as well as like asset marketplaces that impede the true value and also just innovation. I mean, so the hard part is kind of figuring out. Personally, it's been difficult to find people to support me, and my background is defined as Wall Street. For the most part. And so that's been difficult to find developers who are willing to support me. And like, but as I've been getting better at explaining it, that's become easier. But I think that, the challenge is really, like, unless, because and this is where the divide kind of happens as well, is that you have a lot of people like yourself who are on the call right now. There's a ton of projects out there, and they're either like Viper's kind of this unique thing as well as Sadexful as well, but they're either like sort of very amateuristic and they are not able to follow through on a lot of things that they say, or they're not even planning to. And then you have the other side of it with like a mirror protocol or any of the other things that are focusing on like institutions or like asset classes that really still cater to things that don't necessarily, they're just not equitable and are inefficient. So under the same paradigm. So that's really where the divide is. So it's like, you can like go and say Harmony is this and Harmony is that, but at the end of the, and go on social media and get as many people to see that as possible. But it's really about a frame of mind, and then also creating a tool that people will use. And there's a lot of branding that has to do with that as well. Right now, so the difficulty has been like a lot of people still, besides not totally understanding the majority of the concepts or even how a blockchain could create all of these changes and like change the way that people live, is also just kind of changing the way that crypto blockchains are viewed right now, which is like very difficult, very risky and complicated. Like, I try and explain it to my brother, and he's just like, I don't understand what you're saying. And so there's a very specific way to do that. There's not one way to do that, but for the most part, to mainstream it, there is. So from a development standpoint, it's taken us a long time to get where we are right now, which is basically like we're ramping up to, I now am very confident that we're full steam ahead. But there isn't money out there unless you're a developer and you can produce a product. And so there's this weird sort of empty space where people like myself have very difficult time entering it because I know code basically, but the ideas and the concepts and the actual services and products that we plan on building on Harmony and then beyond are like very obvious, as well as the message. So I think that people in general are very ready for this to happen. There's just, they haven't figured out a way of accessing it, haven't been given the tools to do so. You look at an example, my wife's from Venezuela, and Venezuela is the third largest country to use cryptocurrency, and it's because of their economy. So if you provide people, but then none of them, and a lot of people out there have some sort of access to crypto, but are they going into the DeFi realm? Are they setting up their MetaMasks and doing all the stuff that Viper does? No. I could explain, that's also the difficult part, that if the message is sent right and the tools are done and marketed in the right way, that will make all the difference. But you have to address the needs of those societies. And so yeah, it's been difficult because crypto's still a very small asset class and no one really understands it, and even the people who are working in it don't really get it, and the ones who know how to do it don't have the same sort of vision and understanding of its potential. Even though everybody kind of talks about it, there's no roadmap to that. So I've been doing it for the most part on my own up until recently. Just got some support from some pretty, like key players. Dolomite, I just got off the phone with, they're going to be advising us. And so we're definitely going to make it happen. But I view crypto and blockchain as like the car industry when Ford made his car. And at the end of it, it's going to consolidate, but there's still a lot of room, a lot of ways to go about it. And I think that a lot of this negative stigmas are what will prevent that from happening sooner. Didn't exactly answer the question again, but that's been my experience so far.
No, I think you actually described a lot of great things in your answer. And I think there's like 2 or 3 parts that really struck me. One, from the developer side, it's not easy at all for even a novice, let alone a senior architect, to really pick up right away, right? So that is definitely one of the downfalls of like just the entire ecosystem of blockchain in general. And then the other part is the barrier to entry, right? Like what we've talked about a little bit before of, you got to do MetaMask, you got to have your one wallet connected to MetaMask and get on the Harmony network through MetaMask, right? Like there's those steps too. And then also talking about the unbanked, right? Like people that just go to cash advances or are in third and second world countries that just don't have access to a financial system. And Harmony could be that, but how do they then translate that into like tangible goods for themselves and actually trade on that? I think some tokens and cryptos have been successful at doing that. And maybe it's something that Harmony One should also look towards and see if we can innovate more in that direction. And then I think the third thing, yeah, I think I talked about the third thing of being unbanked. And then like for us who have more intimate knowledge of like crypto, who have been in it for a few years or whatever, some of this stuff is just, it kind of like goes under our radar where we just do it, we figure it out. And, we know how to Google search the terms, right? Versus someone that is brand new, like what do I even search for? So I think a few things could be born out of what you just talked about of as far as like tutorials. I could even see like just making a simple video that's like 5 minutes long that describes the terms that we use would be mega beneficial. Like even if it's just a PowerPoint, that'd be mega cool. I'll take note of that, of what kind of tutorials we might be looking for. Would anyone else have any ideas for tutorials? Because I think as dev captains, this is something that we would really like to move forward with, that is a low lift without having to do too much code, but get the message out there more.
Yeah, if I could just add, so my name's Anton, and I work with Dylan with the Bogani network. It's basically his side thing of, basically it's a media company for crypto, aspiring media company, and basically we're working on an educational series for blockchain and using Harmony basically as like all our examples, because we just believe in Harmony so much, obviously. And so I think, so right now we're writing our episodes, we're about 8 or 9 in. And so far we've started very general and then bringing everything more specific. So working on that. And Dylan is also working on this project. It's a decentralized educational program called the Alexandria Project, which is basically a decentralized education. So really cool, like side projects in that realm. What was I gonna say? I was coming back to, yeah, I think education is everything with this, but it's the same story. I feel like that has been playing out ever since, the internet, ever since the printing press. Like people are just very slow to move. Like just people's actions are slow to move. You can know what to do. Like people know what to do, but people just don't do it. So it's, I don't know, I guess it's like, how do we make people actually do something? I don't know, people know what to do. People even that know crypto, they understand it, and then they still just don't do anything. So I don't know, I guess if we could find a way to actually funnel people to take action, I I don't know, I guess through education, maybe it's just always just the more people know, people kind of have to be hit with the same information all the time. And maybe on the 10th time it hits, and it has to be delivered in different ways. And I think my background is in music and art and acting. Same with Dylan as well. He's more on the development side right now, but I think being a communicator and saying the same points in multiple different ways and hitting with different metaphors and allegories and explanations, that's kind of the focus of what we're doing with our educational platform, is we're basically trying to animate and make visuals and make it very easy to understand. It's just like, I feel like a lot of developers have trouble communicating in ways because their brain is very like developer brain, and it's people that are good communicators don't have that actual syntax of a developer to like really use that vocabulary and understand at a developmental level. So just speaking on Dylan's behalf, he's in my experience, he knows the blockchain very well, but he's also an artist and a communicator. So we're a good team in that way. But maybe we can collab some way and some ideas together on how we can bridge both of us to make the best educational series, and just make it very accessible and very easy to digest, and very much like, I don't know, like debit cards and Visa cards. Like if you explain that to somebody in the 80s, they wouldn't know what you're talking about. But when you're like, oh, you have a card and you just pay, and you just make it so like easy to understand. I don't know, it's just the way it's communicated. If you try to explain the back end of Visa and what it actually does, they'd be like, what, Visa? I pay magic money? Like, it doesn't make any sense. When you actually explain a practical use case, the use cases just aren't fully there for people to see. So if we can, I don't know, communicate that in a tangible way, people can digest. I think it's just going to take some time, but we just got to hammer in the same information in different ways for different people of different walks of life to understand. 80-year-old grandmas have to understand it just as much as a 20-year-old in, coding school or whatever. But I'm not sure if that helped or added any value, but really passionate about the education and just communicating in different ways and getting it out there. But we're very early in the process.
Yeah, Anton, I think you hit on some really great points there too. I've had these thoughts of like, how can we actually educate people in an effective manner, right? Like, I know people that can hardly type on the keyboard, but they make good money, right? Like, they have the financial means to invest in this, but they don't have the literacy to even like start, right? And there's thousands of ways that we could go about like making pamphlets and making I don't know, QR codes that you can just scan. But even then, like a grandma that's 80 doesn't know how to use a QR code, but a 14 or 16-year-old does, right? And crypto has been really great for the unbanked that are under 18 that could start creating funds for themselves in the future. Whereas like crypto is not really a big concern for people over 50 typically, because it's just too risky and not really something that they're interested in, more or less, but they should be, because it could help their future generation grandkids and great grandkids, right? And that's a good enough reason for them to hop on board. And I think we kind of do miss having this, like what you said with explaining in different ways and like equating it for people that it can make sense for them, right? And that definitely comes through like just knowing and identifying what channels of communication we have to accomplish and go towards. And also setting those goals out, like, okay, if we know our audience are going to be like, I don't know, let's say 10 to 30, we want this to be simple enough for the 10-year-olds to follow and give enough detail for the 30-year-olds to be like, okay, yeah, I do want to invest a lot of money into this, right? Because obviously both of those positions have different financial means to acquire coins or tokens. Yeah, I really think that hit the point on like how we should go about building this tutorial? Like, should it all live on YouTube? Should it live on the forum? The answer is probably it should live anywhere and everywhere that we can put it, right? But that kind of leads to, like, I guess maybe the next good question would be, what is a good tutorial to start with for the category of an average person that is computer illiterate, right? That just has a smartphone. Because obviously it's going to be different from desktop to smartphone, right? So yeah, I guess, does anyone have any ideas on like what they found to be their struggle, like between the tutorials that they did see when they first started and how they managed to get to now?
Yeah, so I would love to give input on that. I actually quit banking and became an educator in the South Bronx, because I really believe education is like the most fundamental thing that's required to empower people and also to change everything, and especially financial education, which really hasn't existed. But to answer your question specifically, it's the lack of one-click solutions. And there's a lot of tutorials out there about setting up MetaMask and the networks and how it all works. And then you can stumble across something like, you know, multi-chain. But at the end of the day, it took me like, you know, 3 or 4 days to like figure it all out, including the Harmony Bridge. And I would say that is, and the bridges in general, but the Harmony Bridge specifically, because that's what I've been using the most. That was very difficult. And I talked to other people like in the Viper, Telegram groups and elsewhere who were like still afraid of it. And they are just as much of like active users as I am and just use Harmony, use one. So there are like things like that. Like you were saying, you're not going to get the 80-year-olds. You're not going to get the 70-year-olds. You probably won't get the 50 to 60-year-olds. But when you make it easy enough with one-click solutions, and you make it so that it's not just about watching a tutorial, because that actually, like, people are super lazy. I know that from teaching, that it's the less you put on them of a burden of having, unfortunately, to learn, and you give them ways of experiencing and accessing it, it's then you get them excited because they see the return, and that's when they want to get more involved, and that's when you give them, that's what you can, you know, get them to watch the tutorials and stuff. So it's really about focusing on that, as well as also creating products that normal users can use. So if they're like on their smartphone, you know, people in Venezuela don't want to use that currency. They have a whole, you know, black market underground way of interacting using crypto for the most part, but you can extend that across to almost any country where it actually makes a lot more sense to not have to use traditional banking to manage your funds. And so the more that you can just make it easier, the better it is. And I definitely think that's possible. So like you were saying with developer mentality, it's like easy for a lot of developers to just think that, oh yeah, people are going to understand how to use this because it works, and they may need to read a couple of tutorials. You're taking out like 40% of the users by asking them to watch more than a minute and a half of something on YouTube, or read something for that matter, unfortunately. But yeah, the more that you can do that, the better it will, the greater the chances of success are. And then all the tutorials and the messages and the things that people will watch are more like, you know, holistic and about greater ideals. And that's what kind of also brings the Reddit army into the mix of the fact that people want this, but the barrier of entry is super high.
Oh, sorry, Aaron. Yeah, I just want to add on that. Like, I thought what you said was great about like the one-click solution, you know, just making it easy and frictionless for them to use it. I think a question I always ask, you know, because I'm very consumer centric in everything I do. It's like, what is the value prop? Why would somebody want to use it right now in this stage? What actual infrastructure is there for the mass public? It like, in a way, it makes sense that nobody's adopting as fast as it is, because the people that do adopt, they're like, okay, well, now I have it. Where can I actually buy milk or do things? And oh wait, I can't actually do anything with it anywhere. Why would I do it? So it's like there's no infrastructure actually to back up mass adoption. So as people get educated, I think it's this thing that's maybe not so linear. It's like, as education is out, developments are out, things are being developed at different paces. And as people learn about it, it's not directly in line with what's actually available. And I think that is natural, but these two worlds will collide as far as infrastructure meets people actually knowing what to do with it. I think the infrastructure just isn't there yet. So in the meantime, as infrastructure is building and ecosystems are developing, education will be there and has to be there. Even if it's all out there, like in layman's terms, and what the vocab is there, until people, the infrastructure is there, people won't actually know what to do with that information. And making it entertaining, like you said, people's time is important. Like a minute and a half video, that's a lot of work. It's like, how do we make it to where they're not having to work to understand, to join an infrastructure that's not really there yet? So it's like, it's just so early. And then one more point about where our content should live. I think Aaron said that, maybe it should be on YouTube, maybe it should actually just be everywhere. I think that's right. I think if we can make long form content and then actually make it native to every platform, that way it's like, it's a big project, but making a long form, YouTube, it could be an hour long, and then you splice that up into like 80 different pieces of content, and you just like TikTok it up, Reels it up, YouTube Shorts it up. The eyes right now are on YouTube Shorts, it's on Reels, it's on TikTok. It's very short bursts. And, a lot of these younger generation obviously are on these platforms, but those are the people that grow up and then they start to consume and be a part of the ecosystem. So I think hitting, it's a more long-term play, but I think it's right to just follow the attention and not be too emotional on which platform is, has been around. Like YouTube is great, but the eyes are on YouTube, Reels, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is huge. But yeah, everywhere essentially.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic point, Anton. I think, we've seen how the Joe Rogan Experience has taken off from a simple basement into what it is now, like $1 billion like podcast. Insane, right? Like, or maybe not $1 billion, but whatever he made off that deal. And, if we follow what is already out there, like as far as communication channels and like how people are really successful at marketing these things, then yeah, we can definitely hit the ground running even faster by doing like the shorts. And I think even just bringing up TikTok, like, yeah, I didn't even think about that part of like, oh yeah, we should, yeah, that makes sense. Like if we make videos, or like I have a crypto talk scheduled for this coming Monday with my company, then we're doing it as like a marketing thing for them, but also like for me to just explain and get word of mouth out there for Harmony as well. So it's like, if as a community we pool our resources together and create this content as we go along, then yeah, it's going to be undeniably great. Like at some point we'll get, I don't want to say influencers, I'd rather see like just common people adopt and like take hold and make these TikToks of being like, hey, this is what I just did. Check this out. I did blah, 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 and I'm done. Now I have like a banking solution, right? Like that's the powerful point. Like we don't want some influencer, because like we've already seen with the current news of what's happening with that and the big scams going on there. And we don't want to be a part of that, right? Like we definitely want like the decentralized nature and the philosophy of Harmony One. Like we wanted the people to make it happen, not like specialty people like explain this all the time, right? Like that's why the Dev Captain stuff was born and the DAOs were born, right? So we should also still be keeping that mindset as we continue forward with the media approach. And I thought that was a fantastic point that you made. Not sure if anyone has anything else to add to this, but the floor is yours. Well, I think this was a really great discussion. We have like 14 minutes left in this meeting. Does anyone want to talk about some of the stuff that they've encountered with using Harmony One or like success stories that they've had. I think now would be a great time for like some water cooler talk or anything that maybe the core Harmony team wants to talk about, maybe with the hackathon news or like what Lee was talking about with Ethereum coming up. If anyone wants to take the floor on that.
I can chime in here. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I had a conflict with another meeting. So, I'm not sure if you've already discussed the hackathon in any kind of detail in the first 30 minutes of the call, but our focus right now is just laying, kind of getting our ducks in a row for the hackathon, making sure that we've got all the right tools, kind of the right setup for all the new developers are potentially going to be learning about Harmony, the ecosystem, and building. They could be coming from traditional Web2, kind of finance, fintech background, or they could be coming from maybe the Ethereum ecosystem, and they want to try out deploying their existing dApps onto the Harmony blockchain. But one of the things that we're doing is just putting together boilerplate code in a central repo. I think Ganesh can maybe explain a little bit more about this, but we've got a bunch of different areas around some example boilerplate code for how to build an NFT marketplace, how to build, I don't know, a lottery system, a crowdfunding, things like that. Just very basic boilerplate code, just to get folks started. And the other thing we've done is we're actually about to launch, probably today, after this call, we've got a very simple developer portal, which is kind of like the it's like the marketing landing site, but for developers, right? So the link to this portal is going to be a first-class citizen on the Harmony website. So it'll actually appear in the top nav as the first item. It'll be a section called developers, right? So this is really going to speak to how important the developer community is, and how we prioritize this community. So folks just learning about Harmony will come to the marketing site, and they'll be able to dive into the all things related to developers straight away. On the portal, we're going to have links to this forum, to the documentation, API, bounties, hackathons, it's the source code, etc. So once that's up, it's very simple right now. It's just to get us started. But one of the things that we'd love your feedback on is just looking at this portal and thinking about that onboarding process for brand new developers who are just coming to Harmony and learning about what Harmony is about. What other things you think they would want to see on this landing page, right? As well as having the obvious documentation, things like that. Is there anything else? Videos, whatever. So once that's up, I'll announce it in the Dev Captain's channel, and you can kind of share that if you like. But review it, let us know what you think. And that's all I had. Ganesh or Lee, anyone want to talk any more about the hackathon?
Yeah, there are basically two parts to it, right? One is going over the tools and documentation and adding more tutorials. Regarding that, I posted in the Dev Captain's channel. I don't know if you can navigate to Doc's home GitHub repo. There is under the issues, I added some 7 odd issues. I will keep on adding, and you guys can also add. These are like issues related to adding some documentation for or tutorial for doing XYZ and so on, right? So these will dev captains or anybody can pick them up and try to contribute if you have some time. Yeah, these will make it into docs.harmony.1 under the learn tutorial section. You will see all these, all of them. These will be very helpful for the hackathon. This is one section. The other section, like you mentioned, is template projects to even like bootstrap hackathon participants. Like they will have everything, boilerplate code, etc. Available in there for several different project ideas like AMM, maybe NFT marketplace, and several others which we are going to add probably this week and next week, which you can find under like hackathon. There is a GitHub repo, separate repo. Under that, we are started collecting some of the projects. So these are the two places where if you guys have some ideas or want to contribute, feel free to add more issues in the tutorial docs home repo, or even for the project ideas under hackathon GitHub repo.
Thanks. Yeah, this is really great. I saw you posting this a little bit ago, and this is a very good start. And I think we could even add a ton more to this. I guess like my question is, I think since we're trying to make these bounties, to give developers some idea on like what it's worth to them, like how on average, like, are we looking to maybe pay out for some of these? You know, are we looking towards like 501 to like 5,001? Is it like dependent on per tutorial? Just to see, like, make sure it's worth people's time, you know?
Yeah, we can do, I mean, based on like how lengthy tutorial is, how detailed it is, we can try to compensate differently.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Sweet. This is all really good stuff. I don't really have too much more to talk about unless anyone else does. So have at it.
Aaron, do you want to just go to dev.harmony.1 so we can just quickly show what this landing page looks like? So harmony.1.
Oh, harmony.1, sure. I remember that.
Mhm.
Nice. This is cool. I'll make it a little bit bigger.
All good. So you know, nothing fancy here. This is going to be linked to from the main website. And if you scroll down, we've just got some basic resources here. You know, getting started, API. Most of this kind of links to the documentation page. A link to the forum, bounties, Discord, etc. So we can obviously keep adding to this. This is going to evolve over time. Yep, there's a form for, you know, submitting your DApp, so we can add it to feature it on DAppRadar, things like that. But yeah, I'd imagine this is something that will constantly evolve. But any ideas, please share them with us, and we can very quickly update this page. This is like an interstitial page, right? It's between marketing and the kind of the documentation page.
Yeah, no, this is super cool. I think this is a great start, and it looks really nice. It looks professional. I guess one question I have here for the DAppRadar, the goal with this is to kind of bring some sort of like reputation for DApps, right? That we're trying to host on the Harmony network.
Yeah, that's right. So you know, DAppRadar is pretty popular. Right? It features application, just a good way to get exposure and have folks you know, encourage people to build on Harmony and share it through this kind of channel.
Yeah, no, this all sounds fantastic. And very good work on whoever made this. It looks really well designed and very simple to follow.
It's all Give's fault.
It was a weekend project, and actually not even a weekend project. I did it in a couple of hours yesterday.
Nice, super fast. Very cool.
Beat of harmony.
Yeah. Nice.
And Lee, you're adding this link to this, right, from the main page
Yes.
today?
You saw the link, the beta link. It
I
already-
did, yeah. Looks good. It's good to go.
Actually, Steven and I are debating like on 1 or 2 word choices.
Okay.
That yeah,
Very cool.
we'll launch it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, anything else that we should talk about? Or I feel like we pretty much hit on all the points other than the upcoming hackathon. Maybe that should be something. I don't know if there's any updates for it really.
It is already listed on Gitcoin. I was told by the Gitcoin team. I haven't checked, but yeah, once it's announced, actually, I should say, I wish we could like broadcast this more. So let me give you the 60-second pitch on the hackathon that I'm really excited about. So not only is it partnering with Gitcoin, the largest platform, $1 million in total prizes across 3 themes, and under each theme there are 4 categories. So probably, of course, not one team is going to, it'll be very distributed in terms of the prizes. But what's cool is that we are partnering with like Sushi and Chainlink and Terra to give very specific prizes that are related to what they're doing, so that we get more like broader participation, right? So it's not just like, hey, Harmony community come. It's like Sushi's community can come and build on Sushi on Harmony, and Terra's community can come and build different products that maybe is tied to the Terra Harmony bridge, or tied to some Terra product launching, deploying on Harmony. So we've got like basically kind of like, again, having these bridges, not technical bridges, but these are just like kind of our partnerships and bridging their community to come build. But also we're working with Dora Hacks. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but they're another developer platform like Gitcoin. They have, I want to say, also like tens of thousands of developers. I forget the exact number, but what's cool is that they do community quadratic voting. So if you list your hackathon project on Dora Hacks, they will actually, not only is there like a prize pool of, we set it to be 50,000 from us. Yeah, exactly, Dora Hacks. And then the community will also contribute 1 tokens that will fund the projects that they like the best. So it's pretty cool. Like you can, maybe you'll get a 5K prize from us, but you can get another 10,000 from the community. And when they did some of the prior hackathons they did, for example, they were able to get more community matching than actually the prize from the foundations for some of the other projects. And the last thing, they're integrating One natively. So people basically like if you hold the One token, you can contribute directly. So it's already live, and they did it in the last couple of days. And the last thing is they have like a network of 50,000. Not 50,000. They have a network of 50 really good venture investors. So if you like as a hackathon project make it to the top 10 or top 15, you're basically I don't want to say guarantee, but you have a high likelihood of being in front of those like 50 investors and getting maybe not funding immediately, but at least like really good conversations. I think he told me that most of the top projects get funded by their community of investors in some way or some amount. So yeah, that's like really going to be a good hopefully launch pad for the projects to kind of build, get prizes from us, get community matching, and then get venture funding for the best projects that can really be commercialized. So that would be like, that's the full stack.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe
awesome.
this will encourage Sev to finally work on his app.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Especially considering we have like the whole tier system of making it up to the top, and then there is backing behind it, so that
Yeah.
that should bring a lot of people into it. It looks like we're a little bit over time. I think this was a pretty solid meeting overall. So good job, guys. Good conversations. If there's nothing else, I think we can probably end it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
again, Aaron. Yep.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Organizing. Yep.
Of course.
Bye.
Take it easy, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, take care. Take care, everyone.